Hi everyone, welcome to Raise to Rise podcast, a place where we discuss bite-sized wisdom nuggets with easy-to-follow practices to live a better life. Raise to Rise podcast is supported by Ayurvedic Seva. Ayurvedic Seva is an herbal dietary supplement line set out to change the industry by dedicating the company to quality, safety, and holistic approach on making the wellness journey safe, healthy, and natural. If you want to start adding some natural herbs in your life, then head over to ayurvedicseva.com and use our promo code Raise to Rise for 30% discount. Once again, it's ayurvedicseva.com and use our promo code Raise to Rise for 30% discount. I am your host, Mital Patel, a parenting junkie, Ayurveda enthusiast, and an advocate of conscious living. Hi, Dr. Vignesh. It's so nice to have you. Thank you so much for coming to our show and welcome to Raise to Rise podcast. Would you mind introducing yourself today to our listener? Because for those of you who knows Dr. Vignesh, welcome. And for those of us who are new to your work, could you please introduce yourself to us?
Hello, I'm Dr. Vignesh. I'm an Ayurvedic physician and I come from Kerala, and I have my own clinic called Sitaram Beach Retreat. And here people come for panchakarma and various cleansing and purification therapies as mentioned in Ayurveda.
Wow, nice.
And I also run a podcast called Ayurvedic Healing and Beyond.
That's amazing. So you're serving both sides. You're serving people to get the cleansing done internally, and then you're also serving the mind reset where you're serving through podcasts. That's amazing. Really great work. So have you worked with kids before?
Yes, in the last 5 years, it's mostly with adults. But when I started my practice, I used to work with a lot of kids who wanted relief from allergies, and also I had few experiences with autism and ADHD, but mostly with allergies.
And this is the right time to talk about allergies. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the show for those of us who are new to Ayurveda and, about the allergies, because this is a season right now where our kids suffer a lot and when we don't know what to do. So if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about prevention and what can we do for preventing these seasonal allergies in our kids?
Okay, kids, according to Ayurveda, children are predominantly with high kapha prakriti. I mean, they will have problems because of high mucus. I mean, they could have respiratory issues. They will fall sick. They will have immunity problems because their body is developing and they are also getting used to new things that is happening outside. So the biggest challenge for me, usually what I see is kids will come along with their parents because they don't come alone. They're not adults. So they come along with the parents, and the parents will be saying he's not having healthy habits. He's constantly on video games and he's not sleeping well, and he's constantly taking sugar. So first thing, and also we see that the parents are also diabetic. That's another issue. So my first therapy is for the parents to tell them, first you have to get rid of your all the sugar that you kept at home, because kids are like Sherlock Holmes. They know where everything is kept.
For sure.
And kids don't do what they are told to do. They do what others are doing.
Exactly.
They are great imitators. So treating kids, first I treat their parents, then I treat the kids, because
I love that because and that's what my mantra is in my house too. Like, do as I do, not do as I say. Because when we tell kids, like, do this, but at the same time, if we're not doing the same habit or if we're not doing the same activity, the kids are not going to follow. So if we tell them, like, don't eat sugar, but if you still have sugar in the house, how is that going to work out? And if you still are buying cookies and stuff, because they eat what's put out on the table. So I like that point. And I also like how you're treating the parents before treating the kids, because that is so important, because it all starts from us, right? From the parents, because kids are going to do what we do. But yeah, go on. Sorry. I just wanted to bring that point. I really like that because that's what I follow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are research saying that if you are surrounded with obese people, there is 57% higher chances that you will also become obese. The same is with the kids. If they are surrounded with people who eat a lot of sugar and unhealthy stuff, they will also get into it. Especially kids, they are so vulnerable to the energy that is outside. They pick it up and they will imitate it immediately because they have this sense of belonging. They need to be belonged so intensely than an adult because their self-confidence, self-worth is just picking up. So the moment they see somebody else is doing that, they immediately want to do the same so that they would feel safe.
For sure.
So with kids, the first thing is parents have to get rid of the sugar as much as possible. And they also, if they are into smartphone, the kids are also going to be on smartphone.
For
Because
sure.
that's another thing that is going to be. And another thing is get them into other natural sources of fruits. I mean, sugar, like fruits. Instead of giving them cookies, candies, things that you can buy from the bakeries, the fried items, junk food, instead of that, you give them things that are from natural in origin and which are healthy in origin. Start very young. And if they are having allergies, one of the home remedies that you can do, especially with allergic rhinitis and other things, I tell the parents to prepare a tea with dark raisins.
Okay.
Dark raisins are like the dried grapes. Okay, in Ayurveda, dark raisins is a fantastic anti-deworming therapy. But it is not going to be a strong deworming, but it's a very mild deworming therapy. So when you mix it with hot water and put it, and you put a little bit of honey just for the palatability because it's not going to taste so good. But kids love a little bit of honey for the palatability. And when you give this to them, slowly they will see that the kids' appetite will come back and they will become much more calmer. Whenever we treat kids, the first thing is the elimination diet, which is to reduce sugar, reduce unhealthy food. And the next thing is, educate them and train them and motivate them to eat healthy food.
So like giving them why we're doing
exactly.
this. Right.
They pick up immediately. If you tell them, if you do this, this is what you're going to become like, they immediately catch it.
Because they're also in their curiosity stage right now.
Exactly.
And so they're more curious, they want to know more, and so then they'll do it. Yeah, no, I like that.
And other thing is, kids, if they take head shower, okay, I have mostly experience with treating kids in India, but I do have seen some kids abroad in US also. When I go there for my lectures, parents would bring their kids with allergy issues. So one thing is, as I said, the elimination diet of sugar and unwanted unhealthy food. Next thing is, sometimes they can take head shower and they will not dry it up properly. So for kids, if they have too much of, if they're not drying up their head, they will have tendency of too much of mucus in the chest region immediately. So they don't have the luxury to keep their head wet for a longer period. In Ayurveda, we have this powder called as Rasnadi powder. We put it a little bit on the head so that this tendency of the mucus producing in the chest region because their head is wet will reduce. So drying up the head immediately is very important. And also, they should not take head shower at night. Rather, if they take head shower in the morning, and after the head shower, they should not be exposed to sunlight immediately.
Oh, that's a good.
Because when you take a head shower, your head is going through a cooling energy. And suddenly when you expose yourself to hot climate, our body is going through a confused thermal regulation. So once it is cold and now it is again hot. So the body thinks something is not correct. So I have to reinforce my immunity. So let's start fever or let's produce more mucus. So that the mucus is like a good thermo protection for the body.
Wow. I did not know that. Like not going out in the sun right after the
immediately.
shower.
You give it some time.
Right.
And if they are going, cover their head properly. Direct sunlight on a kid's head, especially after a shower, is inviting fever and trouble.
I am like, wow, I did not know that at all. That's so that helps us with the fever and allergies and all that. That's nice. What else? Is there something else that we can do, especially because now that we're in that season? Do we need to do any other remedies? How to prevent this? So like head shower, that you have mentioned.
And see, the seasonal allergies are to be prevented 1 or 2 months before the season arrives,
Oh,
not when the season comes. We have
oh.
we have to prepare, like people prepare for winter, not on winter, much
Mm-hmm.
before the winter. They get the
Right.
jackets and everything.
Jackets out. Right.
So, let's say, I think in America, what you're talking about is in the April and
Mm-hmm.
May, you get this pollen allergies because
Yes.
it was cold, and the coldness shifts to heat, and so
Mm-hmm.
during this shift of heat, the body also is realizing something is changing, so I can be more exposed. So sudden pollens that can go, our body can have an hyper reaction,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to understand where this allergy is coming from. You see, in our mother tongue, we have a saying: when a cat falls on a hot water, and if it gets burned, anytime it sees any type of water, the memory of the burnt will come back.
Mm-hmm.
The same is with a kid's body. Kid's body's immune system is a bit hyper reactive. It is very protective.
Mm-hmm.
So anything it sees that, okay, this could be a potential harm, the body will overreact. So in order to change that overreaction, the body has to get used to it, and also the memory of the past attacks has to be released.
Wow.
So in order to change that, it is not that the kid has to be. Usually, what happens is when a kid is getting allergies, the parents become so overprotective, and the kid gets it inside their head. Okay, my kid is sick, and the kid thinks, okay, I am sick, so there is nothing. I am
Mm-hmm.
having a low immunity. And in
Mm-hmm.
my experience, okay, my practice is limited to like 12 to 13 years. But
Mm-hmm.
however, like I was also a kid, I had a lot of allergies when I was a kid, and I have seen people who have immunity issues during their childhood usually grow up to be much healthier.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is because they have this immunity issues, they pick up healthy habits much earlier. They don't have the
Earlier.
luxury to get into unhealthy stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
this time, my biggest ability is to convince the parents it's okay. They think that, oh my God, I produced a kid who is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I inherited this, and mothers love to take responsibility for everything that happens to their kids. So,
I'm guilty on that because my son, I think at the age of 3, all of a sudden he had cold and he started wheezing and stuff. So I took him to doctors, and he literally stopped breathing, and we found out that he had asthma and allergy. I used to keep saying this, oh my gosh, my kid is not healthy. Like, cause I have never had anyone in my family seeing, like, having asthma or allergies. I never had any problem issue. I grew up in India, nothing. So this whole having asthma and allergy was so new. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's a foreign subject in my house. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a kid who has asthma. What did I do? I didn't, during my pregnancy I probably didn't follow something right that that's my son is following. So I am so guilty, and I totally resonate with what you said. And then I kept this tape going on in my head: my son has asthma, my son has asthma, my son has asthma. I was keep on going with that, and it was not until recently when I saw an Ayurvedic practitioner a couple years ago, and I took my son to her, and she said the same thing. She gave me a few tips here and there, and she's like, he's fine. And now I have a tape, like, he's okay, he's fine. And
mm-hmm.
for past a year and a half, by just following, like, Ayurvedic lifestyle, we haven't had any asthma attacks for him. He hasn't had, he's been perfect. He's been healthy, like, and because he's also introduced to these habits, like how you said, like, they quickly, grasp on these habits, and so he follows certain stuff, and it's working, like, essential oils, be it essential oils, or like, taking the water steam and stuff. So he's doing this, and so yeah, I totally resonate. Like, they pick up faster because they already been through that, and yeah, so I really
So,
like that.
like the steaming, this is one of the most powerful therapies if they have
Mm,
upper respiratory issues. It's because steaming helps to decongest the mucus that is puffed up there.
it
And
breaks it down.
exactly. See, kids will fall sick.
Mm, for
We
sure.
are yet to see a kid who doesn't fall sick.
Yeah.
We have to understand that. And
Hmm.
if they're falling sick, because see, one of the greatest signs that the child is healthy is because when the child is born, we always look for, is the child crying or not. If the child
Hmm.
is not crying, something is wrong. And if the kid is sick, what we need to understand, instead of calling his immunity is bad, we need to rewire it and associate it with his immunity is learning.
Hmm.
See,
Like that.
the first time, and what is vaccination? Vaccination is a a milder dose of the same problem that could happen in a big dose, so that the immunity can learn how to fight with it.
Mm-hmm.
And a child's way of improving the immunity is to fall sick, and so that the immune system finds out how I can fight this thing that is coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
And along with that, we have to the parenting plays a huge role in the child's health, and also what the mother and father keeps telling the child.
Mm-hmm.
So if they keep saying, okay, he's always falling sick, you have to be careful, then he will think, okay, I'm going to be sick for the rest. So even though he will be healthy, but that can have a lasting impression on the
It's all the
child's rest of the
mindset.
life. Exactly.
It's the language that we use. It's the words that we use around our kids, and they pick up on those as well. And then the whole thing, it creates the reality in our mind, and then it just manifests,
Exactly.
the same like that. So while while you're giving that allergies, is it necessary for us to find out the doshas for our kids to treat them?
See, kids by nature, see, in Ayurveda, according to the age group,
Mm-hmm.
children have high kapha by nature. Middle-aged people or teenage to middle age will have high pitta, and old age will have high vata. Doesn't mean the type is important. Now, more than the type, what we have to understand is what symptoms are they having, and understand the dosha of the symptom.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is important.
So from the characteristics.
Exactly. And usually, if at the time of pregnancy, if the mother is having some hormonal issues, that will also have an impact on the kid.
Mm-hmm.
So usually, and if something goes wrong, then the mother will take so much of responsibility, and it is because of me the child is going through this. And more than treating the kid, it is to treat the mother. It's written in Ayurveda, to treat a child, first treat the mother. And what it actually said was, this is for the kids who are being breastfed, because the breast milk is the source of food. Right. So if a mother is breastfeeding, then the mother also should get rid of gluten and many other issues, because even 1 year old and 1.5 year old could have issues with respiratory issues. So she should also get rid of unwanted chocolates, because this is also converting into milk, and that the kid is taking.
Wow.
So the mother also has to change, because it is what mother eats that is becoming the breast milk the next moment. So we do the nutritional counseling for the mother. And other thing is, if the child is not moving around, he has to play. And he has to get tired. Usually ADHD, okay, kids can be hyperactive. Some kids can be hyperactive. But what I tell the parents is, send them to martial arts, send them to some contact sports where they can really move their body. When they can move their body, see, the body will get tired. There is a lot of good energy inside of them, and we are not able to utilize it in the right way. And you see, some of the most successful people that we know today had some childhood so-called disorders according to the traditional medicine.
Sure, yeah.
And they just used it to if you look at Lionel Messi, he had growth hormone problems. You look at Einstein, he also had problems during his childhood. So dyslexia is something that you see in many of the successful people today. So first thing is, understand kids will fall sick, and you need to give it time to grow. And that doesn't mean we should not give care if the kid is falling sick. You need to also understand in the right perspective. If kids fall sick, stop feeling guilty, start taking the right actions. Instead of saying something or labeling it, he is like this, that's only a temporary thing. We all will fall sick one time. That's the way the body is asking for rest, body is asking for right nutrition, and body is telling something needs to change.
Yeah, us parents have to be very conscious in that manner too, like when our kids are getting sick, about the language we're using, and not panicking, and being aware and being present in that time to understand, what action do I need to take next? What is my, what's the first step that I need to take, instead of me just fussing or worrying or, getting anxious about the situation. I'm glad that you brought that point. So yeah, of course. So it's not important to find out the dosha, and we can just treat it based on the properties that we're seeing in that moment, correct?
Exactly.
If I understood.
I mean, that is more important than knowing. See, knowing the type of dosha is more of a westernized Ayurveda. Because you go to an authentic Ayurvedic hospital in India, you rarely see people telling, okay, this is your type.
Yeah.
Or if they're doing it, it's mostly because a lot of Westerners go there.
Yes, I witnessed that personally because I was new to Ayurveda at that moment. And so the only thing, new in the sense, I mean, yeah, we've practiced in India, but not this deeply that I'm studying right now. But initially when I wanted to get treatments and stuff done, and we went to the practitioner, she did not mention anything about the types. And of course I was like, going through online and reading or here, like from the websites, and everybody's asking you to take a quiz and find out your prakriti and vikriti. So I was like, I think that's what this is. And she's like, yes, but she did not label the illness at that moment from the doshas perspective. Instead she said, okay, the body's heating, or the body needs to cool down, or there's so much so much going on, anxiety is going on, so what do we need to do? So I agree to the point that they don't identify the doshas, like even in India, or some practitioners here don't identify them from the doshas. They go from the properties, and I think that has major impact doing it that way, right? Yeah. So now that you brought so much point about mindset and consciousness, what can we do as parents to improve the health of our kids, like not just from the allergy perspective, but just from day-to-day life? What are some of the ways that we can implement and start practicing?
First thing, the parents have to make their life where health is their priority. So once they see that the parents are very health conscious, then the kids will also pick it up. If the parents are unhealthy, the kids will immediately pick it up. Okay, sometimes I have adults coming and saying, I'm having diabetes type 2, because type 1 is something that is beyond their control.
Right.
But type 2 diabetes is something that is because of lifestyle. And they would come and say that, yeah, it's genetics. My parents also had it, so I'm having diabetic. But what that person actually saying is, it is not that it is genetic, because their parents were unhealthy, and he also picked up the same habits, and they did not take care very well of them, and he just picked it up. Whatever
we all hide the reality behind this. Oh my gosh, it's in my genes, or it's because my family had it, and so. But we're not looking at from the perspective of habits, because that's what my parents had. And so I continued with the same habit, and I didn't make any changes. And now I'm passing on the same habits to my kids. And so I'm passing on, so then it becomes the generational and, the heredity, right? Like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So the parents have to keep health as their priority. See, once you keep health as your priority, then everything else in your life revolves around that. You will change the place where you eat. You change the things that you buy. You will get more interested in cooking. You will get more interested into exercise, yoga, meditation. And everything in your life changes once you keep health as your priority. And immediately the kids also realize, so these things are unhealthy, so I have to also respect my body. So that is one thing. Another thing, kids don't make it difficult for the kids to tell the truth. Why I say this, sometimes when parents bring their child for allergy issues or something, the parents would say, oh, this fellow, he's always, okay, Indian parenting is a bit different. It doesn't overlap with the Western parenting, because we like to command, and that's how Indian parents bring up. And as any kid brought up in India thinks that their parents are God and they are perfect. That's how they are raised, because parents are invincible. They cannot go wrong. That's how they are brought up. So that there are some good sides to it, but there are some bad sides also, and parents don't like to be questioned. This is mostly about some Indian Orthodox parenting, which I don't appreciate. But what I'm saying is, sometimes the mother would bring the child and say that he is eating a lot of unhealthy stuff, and he's constantly lying to me that he's not eating, but he's actually eating. I even found out. So then what I have to do is, I cannot talk openly to the mother when the child is there. So somehow I distract the child and ask my intern to take the child outside and to play with him or something. Then I ask the mother, if your son is not telling the truth, who is making it difficult for him to tell the truth? Somewhere he is worried, if I tell the truth, And if my mother finds out, she's going to make a lot of drama. I
Mm-hmm.
would rather sacrifice my integrity and tell her the lie, so that at least
Mm-hmm.
the harmony at home will be there. And
Yeah.
some kids, what I understood, where when you ask some kids, they're very smart at such a young age. And you ask them, why do you fall sick? What's happening? Because I see that my parents always fight, and whenever I fall sick, they stop fighting and they give me care, and everything is fine. This is another thing.
Wow. Wow.
So, I mean, that blew my mind. Oh my God, how
Yeah,
much parenting can influence
for
kids'
sure.
life?
And that's why what I do is because, it all starts from us. We need to give that environment to our kids. We have to, so like how you mentioned, like, don't make it difficult. So if you would rather have open conversations with your kids, that whatever it is, just be honest and share,
Exactly.
and we'll work it out. We'll work it together. We're all in this together. We're like, not fighting against each other, or it's not about like, I'm against you, or rather it's about the finding the solution together. So
Exactly.
yeah, I totally agree with that point. And it's hard, like, the way I was, raised was a little different. Like, I didn't have this issue, so thank God, like, where I had to hide or lie. But yeah,
Mhm.
I do see that, like, and it's not just in India too. Like, I've seen it here too, where kids
Mhm.
cannot, like, they're not able to be honest with their parents because they're afraid of,
Mhm.
the consequence that it's gonna come. And the consequence most of the time becomes, instead of having a natural consequences, we get this, oh, you're punished.
Oh.
So it becomes like, it's like, instead of having a natural consequences, it becomes like a punishment. Oh, you did
Mhm.
this, no games for 1 week, or no phones for, and then no play, didn't then. And then that's the reason then kids are like, what did I get? I'm not gonna tell them the truth. So yeah,
Exactly.
it happens a lot. And that's why we need to create this whole awareness about being, conscious in their own skin first, and then treat your child from that space. So yeah,
Exactly.
I really like that. Are there any specific dinacharyas or specific, like, Ayurvedic practices that
See,
we can do with our kids?
see, the best gift you can give to your child when it comes to habit is early morning toilet training.
Yes.
Once they pick it up, that is one of the best things that the child is going to live for the rest of the life. If they
Mm-hmm.
pick it up in the childhood that, okay, I'm not going to toilet regularly, then that becomes such a big trouble,
Mm-hmm.
because they feel that I don't go to toilet regularly. Going to toilet is a habit.
Yes.
Constipation is a habitual disease.
Yes.
Unless there is some
Issues
one in
going on.
1 in a million who have such issues with the colon or
Good.
rectal
Mm-hmm.
diseases or something like that. But constipation and the bowel movement is something to do with the habits.
Mm-hmm.
So every kid has to be trained. Going to toilet is healthy, and
Mm-hmm.
don't tell them poo is something bad or terrible. Once you
Exactly.
eliminate that, and once they rewire, okay, going to toilet is healthy, and you reward them, okay, you're going to toilet, so this is fantastic, you appreciate them, then
Mm-hmm.
they will think, okay, every morning I get up, I have to go to toilet. Now, earlier they pick it up, better for the rest of their life. See, childhood is all about how good the childhood is going to be shaped. That is going to decide the rest of their life, because
Mm-hmm.
that is a very sensitive, vulnerable time of any human's life. Because
Agree.
at that, see, it's like a clay. At that time, whatever you form, that is going to decide what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he can change later,
Mm-hmm.
but a stitch on time saves nine.
It takes
Later,
time to
to later change
repair.
it, exactly.
Yeah. Instead, like, the foundation, like, right now is the time where we can mold them in the right form, and, and equip them with the right habits from this
Exactly.
moment. And so I like that. And that early bowel moment, I totally agree with that.
Hmm.
But
And ask them to avoid cold beverages, because kids
yes.
love cold things like ice creams and stuff. And educate them and make them aware and motivate them to take warm beverages.
Mm-hmm.
And like hot water, for example, warm water, for example, tea, for example. Get them out of all of the bad things as early as possible.
Mm-hmm. Because if we don't do it now, it's gonna be like I mean,
we all say, like, it's never too late, but sometimes when it comes to habits and health, sometimes it does become too late. So
Exactly.
it's better to catch ourselves earlier as
Exactly.
possible. Yeah, no, I really like all these points, and I do practice same with my kids, like the bowel movement. So initially, right now my 3-year-old, so I'm still going through that whole phase, that I don't give him shower until he goes, he
Hmm.
goes to the bathroom, he poops. And so now he's trained, and he knows that he has to go poop first in order for him to get shower. And
Exactly.
same with my older one. He knows, like, if it takes long sometime, it's fine, like, you sit there. And that's why we wake up 2 hours before school time, and so that
Hmm.
we have that time stretch and we don't have to rush. Because when we rush, that whole rushing, like I always say, like, going to the bathroom needs concentration.
Exactly. Exactly.
You need to rewire your brain that is a task. You have to eliminate. If we just consume all day, you gotta eliminate, because if we don't do it, then it becomes a poison for us. Same thing with
Exactly.
the information too. Like, we all just consume and we don't take out what we don't need, then it becomes a poison for us. And so that's like a big part in my household, that you have to go to the bathroom before you take shower. And before you go around the house, you have to have taken shower. So you have no choice but sit in the bathroom. Even if it takes you 30 minutes, it's fine.
Exactly.
Just eliminate first, because that's very necessary. Thank you so much for for highlighting these points, because like you mentioned, sometimes we're not as clear with our kids that, going to poop is, sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, going to poop, it's not, it's something, it's bad, or it's yuck.
Hmm.
And so it creates it creates that sense of yuckiness, and they're not open for the conversation.
Exactly.
I taught my son, he's almost 10. He has to examine his poop after,
Hmm.
and then he has to tell me what how was it. And then if there was anything, that I sense that something might be coming, we can do something about it right now. And, like, before it gets too late, before I have to take him to the doctors and take, the prescriptions or something, because I like to prevent than to go for a cure.
Exactly.
So yeah, I really like that point. Thank you for bringing that up. I normally don't bring that point up. But yeah, I appreciate that you brought that up. So thank you for all your insights, and thank you for giving so much. This was such a valuable and very informative, episode for our parents, because we've never done something like this, and it's coming from a doctor. So it's more like, hey, it's coming from a doctor. So parents, make sure you follow doctor's advice, and it's really important points that he mentioned, and everything was very simple, from habits to warm water to going to the bathroom, so we all can practice these habits. Thank you so much. Before I let you go, is there something that any of your current project that you're working on and you want to share with our viewers? How can they follow your journey and learn from you?
Yeah, they can follow me in my Instagram, Vignesh Devraj. And right now, since there's no project done,
Mm-hmm.
it's lockdown, so I give online consultations that can also be accessed with my
Via
website.
your DM. Thank you. I know we really appreciate. So, for those of you who are new to him, just follow his journey, and he's always there to help us out, and he's also open for consultation. So, thank you so much, Dr. Vignesh, for
Thank
spending,
you.
having giving us so much advice and sharing your time with us. So, we really
Thank you,
appreciate
Mital.
your time. Thank you.
Really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Raise to Rise podcast. We would absolutely love to hear your thoughts about today's episode. Please let me know you have listened to this episode and fill me with your aha moment. Share it on Instagram, tag me with hashtag Raise to Rise or at Raise to Rise, and I would love to share those to my stories and shout you out there. I would also love if you can subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It's our brand new podcast launch, and we have some bonus giveaways going on for the top raters and reviewers. Also, I would love to send you my 7-day parenting journal absolutely for free. All you gotta do is leave me a review in the iTunes store, take a screenshot, and email it over at raisetorisepodcast@gmail.com. Again, take a screenshot of the review and email me at raisetorisepodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you the 7-day parenting journal absolutely for free. Thank you so much for being the active listener of this podcast. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for raising your consciousness and rising as joyful beings.